All right, so somebody asked if I could do a tutorial of my Minilogue gamelan patch, which was a sort of bell-like sound using the cross mod. So I don't think I'm going to actually recreate that patch exactly, but I figured it was a good opportunity to talk about doing more like West Coast style synthesis with the Minilogue. So using the VCO1 as a modulation oscillator and VCO2 as the primary oscillator, as sort of a complex oscillator pair, instead of thinking of them as just two VCOs that you could blend in the mixer and detune and then run through the filter. So it's a more West Coast approach rather than what we call an East Coast approach. So a few people had asked me about that in other patches, so I figured I could do a little demonstration. So I just like last time, I've started with an initial patch, just a sawtooth on both. I'll start with both of them turned up. They're in the same octave, and it's just a really basic initial poly patch with a full sustain organ-like envelope. So the first thing we're going to do is actually turn VCO1 off, so we're not hearing it. Then we're going to switch them both to triangle. So there's our clicky organ sound. Turn the sustain off and the decay up a little bit with a higher release. Add a little attack to get rid of the click. Alright, so that's a good baseline to start with. So from there, we're going to turn the cross mod all the way up. So we got some dissonant FM going. And now adjust the shape. Alright, and that's with the filter all the way open. So let's close the filter a bit, and we're in 4-pole mode. So I've got the filter down halfway. Okay, and add a little of the filter envelope with a similar setting. So medium decay, sort of higher release. Okay, and then add key tracking and velocity so that the pitch and the velocity will open the filter up a bit more, higher pitches and higher velocity. And also if we go into the menu, again, I always turn off LFO sync. And then also on this patch, we'll turn amp velocity all the way up. So then velocity is going to be controlling both the filter cutoff and the amplitude, which helps with dynamics. So we could dial in a little of the pitch envelope, which only goes to VCO2. And then at this point we can even detune VCO1 even more, which isn't going to be in the audio path, but of course will affect the way that the cross mod is controlling VCO2. So and we can also change its octave. Listen to how much change that gives you just from changing the octaves. So, and that's just for the modulation. You could back the cross mod off for a less extreme sound. Or add the ring mod. Alright, and that's with no LFO, no delay, anything. So I like to use the LFO for shape mod here, because if we send it to pitch, it affects the pitch of both, which we could do, but if we do it to the shape, which also affects the shape of both, but it'll keep the pitch steady on VCO2. So that's with some LFO. And if we add the onboard delay, I think it'd be good with a really short time, high feedback to add some metallic resonance. All right, and what I did in the gamelan patch, I actually had a, I had the pitch bend, the whatever the hell we call that thing, the joystick or whatever, the mod stick slider. I had that going to the amp attack, because I have a short attack for the bell sound, but then I can do these swells. Almost like a singing bowl, or like glass harmonica or something. And if I add a little more release and sustain, that one is a little better. And then that way you can go between short bell notes. And then the more swelled sounds. So I'll add in some external effects now. So here's with spring reverb. And then 2 delays. So yeah, that's some more metallic, sort of dissonant sounds, bell FM type tones, which you can get using the cross mod, a combination of the cross mod and the ring mod. And again, you know, having the VCO1, if we turn that up, you know, that's a lot less subtle than this sound, even though we have a really extreme setting. Since it's not in the audio path, it's not completely overwhelming the sound. So that's just like another basic approach that you may not have considered. I know, like, coming from just working with, you know, saws and squares and wanting to detune them and run them through the filter and that type of, you know, analog subtractive synth setup, we always tend to default to more is more fatness, more oscillators, more detune is better. But actually, sometimes it's, you know, the opposite. Less is more. And if you think of a VCO as a modulation source rather than as just part of the signal path, so it's more like an LFO, you know, you wouldn't want your LFO in the audio path. So it's just kind of like that. It's just another approach, another philosophy, which, you know, I first encountered in modular. Definitely much more of a modular philosophy coming from Buchla and Serg and other forms of modular synthesis. But really cool thing about this new entry-level analog poly from Korg is that they opened up some of those types of sounds. Obviously, it's not exactly it. There's no low-pass gates or, you know, function generators. I don't really think that these envelopes can do the type of percussive, plucky sounds you can get out of like a West Coast style function generator. But it definitely, you know, well, that sounded like shit, but you can definitely get some cool sounds. Yeah, you definitely want to watch the volume with the amp. When you have the velocity, it actually is louder than the normal master volume, so that's one thing to keep in mind. Okay, hope that was helpful. Again, I always appreciate likes and comments. If you're interested in seeing more of what I'm doing, please subscribe. And if you have any questions or further things you'd like me to explore in other videos, just let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching and listening, and until next time.